J-Lo create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is season 3, episode 6, I believe. Might be 7, but I'm not sure. I think 6. We are so grateful for the feedback that we've gotten. We're glad that you all are listening and liking the podcast on YouTube. If you're not already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Get Love Like Mine Podcast. How was your week this week?
Been a busy week, but in all, God is good. Still healthy, and kids are safe, and family is still intact, so no complaints.
And would it do any good to complain anyway?
I don't think anybody wants to hear it.
So, for the last couple of weeks, we have been really going in about questions you should ask yourself about a potential life partner. Things that you should be looking for when you're dating with a purpose. And we're also trying to offer perspective if you've already gotten married and, how you can fix those same issues that you may be having. And, I'm not going to sit here and recap everything, but of course, the main thing you would need to do is to pray about it. Ask God to give you discernment, help you to communicate better, soften the heart of your partner, whatever it is that you're going through, you can definitely talk to God about it. The episode from last week was really good to me. I felt like it had a lot of gems about questions, red flags and green flags, as far as dating or picking your life partner. But today we're just going to add to that. And the first thing I think we want to discuss is having a life outside of your relationship. Some of you may feel like you need alone time. You need time away from your kids or away from your spouse or away from your boyfriend, girlfriend. And then some of you may feel like you never want to be away from your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or even your kids. And so I think it's healthy sometimes to have alone time or time away, to have your own individuality, but it just comes at a cost sometimes. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like sometimes when you're so eager to have time alone or away, I'm not going to say alone, when you're so eager to have time away, is it because you want to go on a trip by yourself, a vacation by yourself, and just, while I'm on this vacation, I'm nobody's wife, I'm nobody's mom? Like, what is the goal of the away time? I guess that probably will determine whether it's healthy to have it or not. If your goal is to be away and act like these things don't exist, then I don't think it's as healthy as you think it is. But if you are going to be the same mom and wife away, but you just need some time to relax where you're not as stressed or whatever, or you need to re-energize or something like that, then yeah, that can be healthy. What you think about that?
Well, it was kind of like what you said, that everybody's not the same, and there's benefits and liabilities on both sides. It really just depends on who you are as a person. A lot of times how you grew up. Like in our personal relationship, we're the couple that we really try to do everything together, not just for show or anything like that. Like, we genuinely miss each other daily, almost like a couple that's having a long distance relationship. That's kind of how our relationship plays out. Even though we live in the same house, like I miss my wife every day. Every day I miss her at some time. I'm just so used to her being there and being with her conversation, and I mean, just looking at her, just having somebody to talk to. I'm the guy. I'll go and sit in the bathroom while she's in the shower and talk to her over the glass or whatever. But and, everybody's not like that. Like, so what I'm saying, that's me, that's us. But some people, I have friends, co-workers that be like, I just need a break from him or her, or so I can clear my head. Sometimes you're so much to so many people that, yeah, it's understandable you need some time away from work, you need some time away from parenting, you need time away. So yeah, that's very understandable. But like you said, hopefully in your away time, it's to just breathe some fresh air and not let me unbutton my shirt all the way down 4 or 5 buttons and slide this ring off and slip it in my pocket and then see if I'm still good. Can I still catch what's out there? So
see if I still got it.
See if I still have it. Yeah. So like you said, it comes at a cost, but hopefully you're more advanced in your relationship where it's for good purposes and for the betterment of the relationship.
Yeah, because I definitely can see you needing to recharge. But I think the difference between you and I, or with a lot of the couples who that's not what they're looking for, is being best friends. Like, if you have a girl, like as a woman, if I had a female best friend and I said I always want to spend time with my best friend, no one would have an issue with it. But if I say I always want to spend time with my husband, there are people who will say, oh no, you need to have a girls' night out. You need to have, go on a girls' trip or take time away from him. And it's like, why? He's literally my best friend. I've had times where people have invited me on a girls' trip and I didn't want to go because I'm not going to enjoy myself without my best friend. And I get that some people don't understand that, or they look at it like some sort of insecurity, or maybe he just don't want you out doing whatever he think you're gonna do. Like, I'm not gonna do that anyway, but so I don't need a chaperone. Like, I'm a grown up. I go to work every day. I don't happen to fall into bed with anyone when I'm gone, so it's not like I need someone to watch me to make sure I'm gonna act right. But we just genuinely enjoy each other's company. And not saying that I don't enjoy other people's company, but I prefer to have my husband there, because like at some point I'm going to be ready to go, and I need to have somebody I can look at and say, I'm ready when you are. And if I'm there and you're the only person there, then you're going to be looking at me crazy when I say, all right, well, I know y'all was in the middle of this deep conversation, but I'm ready to go.
Let me say this a little bit. I know this may not be part of the topics here, but just a little insight on our relationship. We're best friends, and that's not the only way to have a marriage or whatever, but that's the route we chose. That's how we are. And I would encourage it and recommend it for reasons like what you just said. Like, you just spend so much time with that person that, like, we've had this discussion before, that if we ever separated or divorced or whatever, we would miss the friendship part more than the marriage and husband and wife part. That's how much friends. So we share so many inside jokes just from watching sitcoms and movies. Like, when we're out in public and we see something that might relate to an episode of Martin, we'll, there's like a little one-liner, and we'll both be laughing because we know what we're talking about. That's the fun part of your spouse being your best friend. Mm-hmm. And that's the relationship that we have. So totally understandable, needing time away and all that, but And being best friends is not the only way to make your marriage work, but that's the route we chose, and we really enjoy it.
And I think having some sort of individuality is healthy. When I go to work, I'm the boss at work. I am not the boss at home. I'm like the office manager at home, but I'm not the boss at home. But when I go to work, I'm the boss. So I do have that individuality, but even in that, I'm still someone's wife. I'm still someone's mom. Those things are a part of me, and I don't shed that when I'm not around my husband or my kids. Like, when I do, like, go out to dinner with the old classmate or with an old friend or whatever, I'm still there talking about my husband and my kids because they are my life. So it's not like I get there and I'm like, don't even ask me how they doing. I don't want to talk about them. Like, it's never that. Even like for my birthday, I wanted to get away. My main point of wanting to get away was to be able to turn my alarms off. I didn't want to have to be anywhere by a certain time. I wanted to wake up when I wanted to wake up, go to bed when I wanted to go to bed, eat when I wanted to eat, whatever. I didn't want the kids asking me what's for dinner, can I go here, can you buy me this. I didn't want any of that for my birthday. I just wanted to exist. However, I still wanted my husband with me. Like, my alone time includes him because we are one. Like, I don't think there's ever a time where I'm like, I just got to get away from my husband. And there are people who are like that, and I'm not saying anything is wrong, but what is the reason? What is going on? What's the conflict? You know, we talked last week about the type of energy and the way your partner makes you feel when they're around you. What is it that they're doing when they're around you that's making you, you know,
just rub you the wrong way?
Yeah, and making you get to the point where you just have to get away from them. What does that look like? Why is that? And how are you okay with it? Because that's not how it should be. I know a lot of people, just like, you know, we always mention the arguing. People say, oh, people argue. Yeah, they do, but that doesn't mean they have to. It doesn't have to be a normal part of your relationship for you to argue every day. It doesn't have to be a normal part of your relationship for you to say, I have got to get away from him. You know, like I said, it's okay to be an individual, but you still are a part of that couple, or a part of, you know, a mother to those kids, even when you're out by yourself. So
before we move on, I want to kind of reiterate you saying that, because a lot of times when we grow up seeing things, whether it's on TV or in the house we live in, or our neighbors, or your uncle, your aunt, your sister, your brother, you see folks argue, they get into it, you know, hopefully it's not throwing lamps and shoes at people, but you may see that. You may see people getting hauled off to jail, and then it's forming these pictures in your mental from whatever age, young, teenage, and subconsciously you may become okay with the conflict, or saying, well, you know, I've seen it in this house, I've seen it in that house, so this is probably just the way it is. So once I get in my own and it starts to occur, or even if it doesn't occur, I think, well, something's wrong here, because I've seen it so much and my mind is used to know, oh, it's got to come sometime. I've even seen people talk themselves into, hey, this is going too good, I better throw a wrench in here and mess it up, because I don't want, hey, I feel like I'm about to lose it. You don't have to argue. You do not have to argue. You don't have to. You don't have to disagree. You can, you might, you will, whatever, but you don't have to. Get that out of your mind. You do not have to argue. You don't have to fuss and fight with each other. You don't. I don't care what you saw growing up. Trust me, because our relationship came to a level of almost, you might even call it disbelief a little bit, because we would think we never seen a relationship like this when we grew up, so we wouldn't have known it existed until we were in it. So if someone had told us, it probably would have went in one ear and out the other, from just because of things we had seen growing up on TV.
Even us, as a couple, as a young couple, we argued a lot. We broke up every other weekend. It was just something. It was, to be honest, the root of it, the root of most of it was a lack of communication about what was actually the problem. See, my problem could be that I miss you and you didn't say you miss me too, or you didn't show me that you miss me. But instead of me expressing that I miss you and I want to be with you, what comes out of my mouth is, why haven't you come to see me? Or why you always gone? Or why you always doing this? And then that comes off to him like, she's always nagging me. She's always doing this. She's getting on my nerves. But really, if I just would have said, babe, I miss you. Can we do something? I cooked. Can you come over? You know, just anything outside of my method of communicating. I wasn't expressing my needs. I wasn't expressing the boundaries that I had for myself. It was almost like I didn't have any boundaries. But I wasn't communicating with him in the proper way. And you know, we have said this several times about how an argument, if what I mean is, I wanted you to come over when you got off work, but what I said was, you always on that BS and you don't never come over here and blah blah blah, and you know, and I'm going off and you make me sick and I hate you, and that's what came out of my mouth. But that's definitely not what I meant. Now we're arguing because I said I hate you, or because I cursed him out. We're arguing about the way I said what I said instead of
what the problem
why
is.
I said what I said. And so, you know, that's how a lot of arguments come into play. Even in your friendships, a lot of times, if you do argue, it's all just a level of misunderstanding because someone doesn't clearly know how to express what it is that they're feeling, or I express what I'm feeling, but you don't respect it.
Or receive it.
Yeah, you don't receive it in the way in which I'm presenting it.
So it's amazing that even though this wasn't even a topic, how this topic just slid itself right into this podcast, but the whole basis is learn how to communicate better. There's more than one way to say I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? There's more than one way to say what you're feeling. Now, if what you said didn't come across right, or you used the wrong words, or you lashed out because you done thought on it so long, and then when that person walked through the door, bang, you jumped right into them, and hey, maybe they didn't receive that well. That's your fault. That's your fault. You didn't communicate well. So lousy communication can start a whole lot of unnecessary arguments. So again, I'm big on correcting yourself. I'll go to myself and just sometimes when you're alone, maybe at work or whatever, just sit and think on different ways that I could have said what I needed to say, or I want to say what I need to say next time in a different way that person may receive it. Don't always just come at them the exact same way, especially if that way is not working.
And that brings me to two things. First thing, you need to know your partner. You know when you are pushing their buttons, even if you're not intentionally pushing their buttons. If every time you say the same thing the same way, like you just said, and you get the same reaction of this person slamming the door in your face or hanging up the phone on you because you have made them mad, you know you are pushing their buttons. And in your mind, have you decided, I'm just going to do it anyway?
I'm gonna push this button.
Or do you respect the boundaries that they may not have expressed it in the best way? They may not have said, look, every time you do that, it reminds me of my mom who used to abuse me. That might be exactly why they react the way they react. And they may not have communicated that to you. But they shouldn't have to communicate that part to you if you see that their reaction is the same every time. If every time I tell you, I come home, why aren't these dishes clean? I've been at work all day, every day, and why aren't these dishes clean? I shouldn't have to express to you that I used to get beat for not washing the dishes, for you to say, I need to find something to do with these dishes, because clearly this is a trigger for her. Even if I don't wash them myself, I can get the kids to wash them. I can put them in a dishwasher. It's more than one way to do it. But you, like I said, you know when you're triggering somebody. And to get back on topic, when you are considering someone to be your future spouse, does that person respect your needs and your boundaries when you express them? This specifically is when you are able to express yourself and say, look, my mom used to be abusive to me. She used to fuss at me about leaving my clothes on the floor. So even though it's a problem for you, trust me when I say I'm going to pick them up eventually. But it's something that I'm working through, which is why when I get home, I throw my clothes on the floor. I'm telling you, it's because of my mom. My mom used to abuse me, and she came and dumped the whole load of laundry on the bed, and that's how she woke me up. Whatever the scenario is, does your partner respect that and say, okay, I'll leave him down there until you pick him up? Or does your partner say, I don't care what your mama did. Your mama did the same thing I'm about to do, which is dump these dirty clothes on you because you need to pick your stuff up off the floor.
Communication.
Yeah, it's your communication has to be there, but there has to be a level of respect for each other's individuality. For we talked about this last week about being raised in two separate households and that having the potential to clash. If I was raised this way and you were raised that way, and you tell me this is how I was raised, this is the way we did it. On Saturday mornings, we would get up, turn on gospel music, and clean the house. Well, in my house, we cleaned up every day. We didn't wait until Saturday to clean up. Do you respect me enough to let me clean up on Saturday to my gospel music? Do I respect you enough to let you clean up every day? Sometimes people get in a relationship and there's no compromise, and people think this is how my mama did it, this is how grandmama did it, this is how my aunties did it, this is how my uncles did it, this is the right way and there is no other way. Your partner has to be able to respect a difference in your upbringing, and you guys need to be able to communicate that so you can decide, this is how we're going. I know this is how you did it at your house. I know this is how you did it at your house, but at our house, instead of us waiting until Saturday to do it, and instead of us doing it every day, we're going to clean up on Tuesday and Thursday. This is the tradition that we made for our house. And guess what? You don't have to argue. You just made a whole plan of how you're going to do things. You compromised. You're respecting each other's individuality. And now you have a plan and nobody's got to argue. If he leaves his clothes on the floor on Monday, just know that on Tuesday, he's going to clean it up. You don't have to worry about that.
How many times either you or someone you've heard them say, I have this problem, that problem, but I can't tell them that because it's going to start argument. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what the problem there is? You just need to find another way to present it to them. Like, okay, you tried to talk about things in the past or whatever that triggered the argument, which made you say what you said? Well, you just need to find a more clever way to say what you have to say. It doesn't have to. That person that you're presenting it to is not going to argue about everything every way you bring it to them. You just got to, like you say, you need to learn your partner. Mm-hmm. You need to learn how they think, what will trigger them. Now, I know people that'll sit up and say they will structure what they're going to say to push your button. I want you angry, because see, I'm angry. See, I'm angry with the situation, so hey, I don't have a problem with you being angry. Matter of fact, that's really the only way I can get some reaction out of you, get some action out of you. I need to get your temperature up. You know, if that works in your relationship, maybe it does. I wouldn't recommend it. But what I'm saying is, I've heard over the years people say, you know, I wish I could talk to him about this. I wish I could talk to him about that. But you're just going to start an argument as soon as it comes out of my mouth. It's going to be an argument. Well, find a different way to say it. Mm-hmm. If that way don't work, find a different way from that way. Until finally, they can hear what you're saying. Because one thing I know, if a person loves you in the way that they should, in the way that we're going to coexist and have this relationship, they're not going to just pick fights with you over and over and over. People that just pick fights with you, they probably don't really want to be with you. Because
they don't like you.
Yeah.
They don't like nothing that you do.
Period. Right?
Right.
See how simple that is?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't like you.
If they find fault with everything you do, they probably don't like you.
They probably don't like you.
They might be with you for convenience. They might be with you because, you know, y'all got kids together. They might be with you because neither one of y'all can afford to live by yourself.
There's a million reasons.
They can't live by themselves, whatever it is.
Right.
They find fault with everything about you.
They like the way you make dirty rice. I don't want to live without you because of your dirty rice. But if you're not in there cooking, you know, we go argue. So, you know, but a person that really loves you in their heart, they're gonna eventually find a way to coexist with you and work through these problems. If you find a better way to present it to them, and the only way you can do that, you have to learn how they think. You have to learn how they think so that they can receive what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago about, you know, if you're unable to speak to them without it starting an argument, send them a text message, write them a letter, send them an email, have them sit down and watch the podcast, and maybe we'll say something that'll make them see things from a different perspective. But this goes back to what I was saying about that person respecting the boundaries or needs that you express to them, because if you have presented it to them in every way, you've thrown up a smoke signal, you've talked to them, you've had their mom talk to them, you've written them a letter, you've written them an email, if you've done all those things and they still do not respect what you are saying, at what point do you have enough respect for yourself to say, this is not going to work? I am not going to spend the rest of my life with someone who
can't hear me,
can't receive anything that I'm saying. And it doesn't mean that that person is a bad person. That person just has not learned the tools to communicate effectively, because communication is not always about what you say. It's about how you receive information as well. Because if I'm sitting here telling you, I like when you wear black, and what you receive is, she didn't like me when I had on this yellow. That is not my problem that I'm having with communicating. That is your problem that you're having with communicating, because you receive something different than what I'm saying. And, you know, like I said, sometimes people pick a person that they decide, this is who I want to be in a relationship with, and they don't see all those little things that prevent you from being able to coexist peacefully. But if you have tried every way to communicate with this person and they don't respect what you're saying, they don't receive it in the way in which you intended, of course, self-reflect and make sure that you're actually expressing it in the way you think you're expressing it. Because you might actually, instead of saying, I like you in black, what might be coming out of your mouth is, I don't like it when you wear yellow.
Don't show up in the yellow.
Yeah, like you may not have expressed it the way you thought you did. But if you did express it the way you thought you did and they still don't receive it, you have to decide, when do you show enough respect for yourself to say, this isn't going to work.
See, and don't complicate things. I say this all the time. This stuff it's not hard. It can come with a lot of intricate details, but answer the simple questions. Like, if I'm struggling, if our relationship is struggling, I need to ask myself, can I see my life without this person? Do I not want this person in my life? That's a yes or no question. If you start your answer with, well, that's the wrong answer. If your answer starts with well, it's a yes or no. Like me and my wife, I don't want to see my life. I don't even want to watch it on a video without her. And I don't want to see what my life looks like without her. The answer is no. But if this person, they can't stop drinking, they come in drunk and tear the house up, if I could cut that out, they probably would be alright. Or they don't make enough, they won't hold a job, or you have all these reserves for this person, so I might kind of be able to see myself without them if they could straighten up. But just answer the question. Yes, yes or no. If the answer is no, I can't see my life without them, then any problem you have can be fixed. But if you start off that answer with I think that it's not gonna work.
And when you have those sort of issues or whatever, let's say you have communicated to this person, these are the boundaries that I have, these are the needs that I have, and this person says, okay, yeah, I get it, I understand that.
Give us some boundary examples.
Okay, so people talk about having friends of the opposite sex. So if my boundary is, I don't mind you having friends of the opposite sex, but I don't want you hanging out with them without me. I feel like that's a boundary. And I feel like it's a acceptable boundary. Like, you know this person, but I don't know them, and I don't know, what this is about. And until I feel comfortable with you being with this person without me around, I want to be around. So for whatever reason, if that's my boundary and you love me and you respect it and you want me to feel comfortable, then you'll either, cooperate with the boundary or you won't. But let's say you tell me you're going to, but then I go to your female friend's Instagram story and I see she's out bowling and I see a glimpse of you in the next lane. So
you recognize that pink
you
ball,
told
right?
me you was going bowling, but you didn't tell me you was going bowling with her. So once I bring to your attention that I know you lied to me, can you apologize and accept accountability for your actions? Because that is a huge deal breaker in some relationships. And before you decide, I want to marry someone, you have to know whether this person can apologize when they do something wrong. And I know the example I gave was kind of extreme, but I mean, even for the smallest of things, if a person has a problem apologizing or taking accountability for what they do, it is going to cause you a lot of stress, because God wants us to forgive each other just as He forgives us. He forgives us like that. It's hard for humans to forgive like that, and it's much harder to do when the person is not even sorry for what they did. It's like, how, people say forgive and forget. How do you forgive and forget when they're not sorry? And then they may say oh sorry, kind of like bless you when you sneeze. They might say it like that.
Generic, huh?
Yeah. And then they go right out and do it again. So it's like if they can't take accountability and understand how what they did, in their mind they might be like, well, me going bowling is not a big deal. It's not like you saw us at the motel, doing something. It might not be that big of a deal. But that's not the part that's hurting her. What's hurting her is that you lied to her, that you're sneaking behind her back to do things that are in direct contradiction with the boundaries that she told you she needs. The boundaries may not be for the rest of your life. They like I said, they may just be until she feels comfortable. And you chose to disregard her boundaries because you didn't see anything wrong with it. So not only do you not respect my boundaries, but you can't take accountability for your actions. And when I tell you, I saw that you were at the bowling alley and you were sneaking off to be with this girl, your response is, well, I didn't say nothing when you went to the Rockets game last week and I saw your ex-boyfriend 3 rows up. I didn't say nothing about that. Like, clearly I didn't even know he was 3 rows up, but you were looking that hard. But anyway, instead of you taking accountability, you're doing what you call tit for tat. You're doing, you're bringing up what they did instead of saying, okay, yeah, I was wrong. It was our other homegirl's birthday and everybody went to the bowling alley and I just didn't want to pick an argument with you, so I decided to go and whatever. But you know how you could have solved that problem? You could have came to me and said, it's our other friend's birthday. We're all going to the bowling alley. What was the reason? I couldn't go. The fact that you make it seem that way, you have to be able to know how what you're doing, how that can make a person feel.
And see, I'm big on coming down on the men. This is a huge thing that men fumble the ball, and we get this wrong all the time when it comes to apologies. Making ego-wise, ego will make you make excuses for why you did what you did. And so you may, even if I'm talking to you or one of my friends or somebody in my family, trying to explain the scenario or the situation, I'm going to try to twist it as best I can where it's not that bad what I did. Instead of, see, this is what us men, we don't understand. At that moment of us discussing the conflict, she doesn't want to hear how it wasn't that bad. What she wants to hear is, you know what, I didn't even, maybe I didn't see it that way, but okay, I understand. I apologize for what I did. And, let's hope that I don't, I'm going to do better to not go down that road again. Not, well, all we was doing was bowling. It ain't like we was, getting undressed. It was, the bowling alley was full of people. What you think gonna happen? She don't want to hear that. That's not even what she charging you up about. She didn't charge you up about she was about to get pregnant in the bowling alley. That's not the story here. But that's where the man is taking it. Like, wow, she is really overreacting. When clearly her issue is what you did wrong, not some grand scenario where you took it way farther than what it really was supposed to be. So us as men, trust and believe, she doesn't want to hear the worst case scenario. She wants you to deal with her issue right there on the spot. She ain't even accusing you of what y'all might have done before that or after that. She got a problem with you planned it, you did invite her, you went and had a good time. To her it looks like you had a good time with another woman. Let's just put it in a nutshell. You went and had a good time with another woman. That's what is on the screen in her head. And you excluded her from it. So how can you expect her to not have a problem with that? And then don't put yourself in scenarios that you wouldn't want to see her in. So if that was her, and she comes to you and says, "What's the big deal? Which was a bowling alley. We was out in the public of all kinds of people. There's cameras, and what did you think was going to actually happen?" Well, that's not the issue here. Is what was going to happen. The issue is, what did happen. You didn't, disclose where you were going, and see. Just to go a step further, folks may not consider this as lying when you tell half the truth, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't really lie because I told you I was going bowling and I went and bowled. See what I'm saying? I didn't tell you who was all going. Now, in some cases, you might not have known some folks were going to be there. That can happen. Mm-hmm. But in the event that you knew or you had a good idea that someone's going to be there, that's kind of how she didn't get invited. Because that person may not be that fond of this person. So, you made a bad decision there or whatever. But don't think just because I didn't enclose all the details that I didn't lie. I said I was going bowling. Didn't you see me bowl? What's the problem? Come on now.
Yeah, people have got to be able to take accountability for their actions. You are going to find yourself overly stressed if you are in a relationship with someone who cannot apologize when they do something wrong. They make every effort to minimize their wrongdoing when they tell the story. Because when you get mad because this man has lied and you pack up his stuff and tell him, "Get out my house," he is going to call his mama. He is going to call his homeboys. "Can you believe she put me out because I went bowling?" He is not going to tell the whole story about how number one, how you found out that he was bowling, who he was bowling with, why he excluded you from the bowling. It is
more to the story.
Yeah, it's definitely more to the story, and they're going to try to make it seem like you're always overreacting. It's like, I think we mentioned before about gaslighting. They're going to gaslight away.
Oh, she crazy.
Mm-hmm. Y'all know how she is. She get overboard when I do this, but they're leaving out that part. That is a very that's like mind control that will have you so discombobulated in your relationship that will be the energy that I was talking about before. The type of energy, how that person makes you feel when they're around you. They're going to get to a point where every time they get around you, you're going to feel like you half crazy. Because you're seeing things with your eyes, but you're hearing something different with your ears. And then he's got everyone else looking at you like you're crazy, when all along he is the one that's doing all this stuff and being manipulative. So these are things that you should really consider before you decide you want to commit to someone. These are things that you can see. And I am a firm believer in being able to walk away early. If things aren't looking right early on, if early on you start realizing they don't apologize for their actions or they're doing a lot of tit for tat, you don't have to continue on in that relationship. Yeah, y'all might have been dating for 3 months, but 3 months in the grand scheme of how long life is not really that long. So it's easier to walk away in 3 months than it is to go ahead and build this relationship, get married. Now y'all on y'all 7th wedding anniversary and you ready to kill him because he doing the same stuff he was doing when y'all was 3 months in. But anyway, we hope this has helped you. Let's get to our favorite part, Ask the Amoses. So for Ask the Amoses, let's see what we have. So it says, "So I'm just coming to the realization that I'm going to be single forever, which I guess I'm fine with. I have 3 babies, 2 boys, 1 girl, and their father passed away 2 years ago. Since then, I've been dating and it has been horrible. The guy I'm dating now is great. We matched each other's energy. We really liked each other, but in the midst of him telling me how he really likes me, he said, I'm not going to lie, the only thing is the 3 kids. And I don't mean it in a bad way because they're cool and all. I like them. but it's a big responsibility. He knew I had 3 kids before we started talking. I haven't even responded to him because I don't know what to say to that. Like, I'm over it. I get it though. It is a big responsibility, but don't date me if you know you're not ready for something like that. I've been blessed to be able to take care of my kids by myself. They don't need for anything, but I'm over it. I'm not saying this for someone to feel sorry for me. I just came to this realization about it. So, what you think about that?
First of all, I hear somebody that's kind of all over the board a little bit here. So you start off saying, I guess I'm going to be single. Like there's something wrong with being single the rest of my life. And then you say, but I'm cool with it. Are you? Are you? And then I hear him saying, it's the 3 kids. But I'm cool with that. You know, they cool and all. Are they? Because if they are, then why are you bringing them up? But, you know, guys, here we go again. Here we go again. You know, like she said, you knew I had 3 kids. You know, before we don't stop, get it. You wanted, you wanted to get it, you know, and to speak for my gender, we just
We missed the mark.
yeah, we don't always make the best decisions, man. It might have been because of the way, you know, those pants was fitting, or
You had your sundress on.
yeah, I don't have a problem with those kids that day. But for the long run, yeah, come on, man. You just have to treat women, you know, just a little better than that, man. You have to understand where she's coming from. Like, don't pop up like these kids just came from nowhere. Like we both learned about them today. No, you knew about them kids, but you were concerned about them kids before, you know, when you were singing Luke songs.
I think with that's going to be a hard situation, but it's not impossible. Like, I definitely know guys who are fine with it because they might have a bunch of kids that, you know, a woman is gonna have to be accepting of. I think in this particular situation, when in the beginning of their relationship, when they were in the talking phase, because she said as long as they've been talking, she told him she had 3 kids, and he should have been clear then.
And let her decide.
He should have been clear then that he is not looking for a long-term relationship.
What's on with that many kids?
He didn't even have to add that part. I'm not looking for a long-term relationship. Because if you tell me you're not looking for a long-term relationship, I don't care what you have to say about my kids. Because if I have chosen to continue dating you knowing that you're not looking for a long-term relationship, I'm definitely not looking for you to be anything to my kids. You're not even going to meet my kids because we're just dating. But it almost sounds like like she said, they matched each other's energy. They got along good. He knew she had 3 kids, but they didn't have any kind of conversation about where this was going. And it sounds like once they got to the, well, what are we doing here conversation, and that's when he told her, well, yeah, you cool. You know, I don't mind dating you, but I'm not trying to be a dad to your kids. But I feel like the right man, I don't feel like she's going to be single forever, but I feel like the right man is going to come along and he's going to show her how accepting he is of her kids.
And just for these men that may be on the fence, like right now in a similar situation, just think about this. God might have put you in that spot for that very reason, number one. Number two, you don't know what kind of impact you can have on that kid's life. I think I look at stories like this all the time. Like the guy that played Mr. T, I can't remember his name. His dad abandoned him. It was like 8 of them. Shaq's dad abandoned him. You don't know what that kid is going to be when you turn your back on him. Then you see them later on, well, you know, they may be Jordan Poole or somebody. They may be Steph Curry. You don't know. My point is, you don't have to take on that responsibility. But, like I say, God may have put you there for that very purpose. You may be the blessing in that kid's life and don't know it.
Shaq speaks very highly of his stepdad.
Very.
Instilling so many things in him that have propelled him into who he is and being unproblematic. Like, he's you don't see Shaq getting busted in a hotel room with prostitutes and full of, sniffing cocaine and all that. He is very concerned with the image that he portrays to the world, and he credits that to his stepfather and his mom. So, I feel like I said, the right man will come along and he will show you how accepting he is of your kids. But for that particular man, I feel like he should have, once he knew she had the kids, he should have made it clear, we're just hanging out. This is not going to go anywhere because I don't want to, I'm not ready to be a stepdad.
Very good. So, one thing I thought about while you were talking about Shaq is when he had his Hall of Fame induction, stepdad had passed away already. He left a blank seat, an empty seat.
Wow.
For him, yeah, at the induction. That's how much respect he had for that man. So, awesome.
Wow. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope that you have received all these points of things that you should ask yourself before you decide you want to get tied down. We hope that we have said something that has blessed you and that everything we have said has been glory to God's name. We pray that you all have abundance and overflow. We pray that you continue to thrive, and we hope that you have a good week. Happy Sunday.